Hey guys, coldbrew here. Welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. So today, what are we doing? We're doing the clan boss and killable teams, and I'll give you guys an overview of different tips that I have when I do takeovers, when I talk to people who have issues with building their unkillable teams or block damage teams, any of the two, in terms of how to take some of these steps in order to ensure that you're building your team right. Let's say you're using some of the tools that everybody has available when they're playing on PC, either the Deadwood website, Deadwood Jedi website, the Hell Hades gear optimizer tool, or just watching videos on YouTube and then going over using those let's say speeds or teams that you see over on YouTube, and you try to replicate it on your account and try to see, okay, why does this team not work anymore? Why is my clan boss team, instead of doing a one key unkillable, it's not a one key, it breaks and it fails at turn 35. What is the reason, coldbrew? We'll cover all those in this video. So first things first, you need to find the team that you want to do based, of course, on what champions you have available. You cannot go out there and try and build a double man-eater clan boss team without having two man-eaters and then asking, oh, I don't have two man-eaters, can I just use the one and then use something else? Well, that's a whole different team. You shouldn't be trying to build the double man-eater team without having the actual two man-eaters, or let's say the budget unkillable man-eater team without actually having a man-eater and let's say a painkeeper, and try to do that specific one. Each team that is advertised already out there, that's already on YouTube with the speeds available and everything set properly, that team works because that's how it's shown, and you should be following the exact same steps. You shouldn't be trying to replicate something without having the exact champions to do it. I've seen it multiple times where I'll get comments in a video, okay, I don't have man-eater. I'm just giving this as an example to make it easier. I don't have man-eater. I do have rush card. Can I still do the team? Well, no, it does not work like that. Just to clarify that example, like man-eater has a block debuffs buff, which enables the affinity friendly and also to ignore the stun, because the stun will not happen because you block it. All right, a rush card does not do that. He provides a block damage buff which enables you to become unkillable or not die until turn 50 if you tune it right, but he does not provide what man-eater does. Very clear example. Going into the next part of this is the masteries of each and every one of your champions that you're trying to build for the unkillable team. You have to be very, very careful, and it really depends on the team that you're building, the masteries that you follow. I've seen multiple times where people have the exact speeds correct, they have the exact masteries correct, they have everything correct, except maybe one mastery on a single champion, or even just a gear set on a single champion, and that stops them from actually doing what they're trying to do the unkillable team. So the masteries that you should be avoiding almost at all times are the support masteries. Just to give an example, the Lore of Steel mastery, which boosts the speed of your gear. If the team that you're trying to build is very strict in terms of the speed requirements, Lore of Steel can be something that is very tricky and can set things off because of the speed sets that you have, the perception sets, or anything other that gives you a speed through a bonus. Okay, it's not just the speed and perception. I think Swift Parry also benefits from this one, and even I would say the protection set I think gives speed. So if you're trying to build something with that, also it will benefit from Lore of Steel, and you have to be very careful with the masteries. Okay, that's why I just tend to avoid it completely. No Lore of Steel definitely helps with the teams. Another great example of a mastery you should be avoiding over in the support tree is this one, Arcane Celerity and Rapid Response. Both of those have a chance to boost your turn meter by a little bit. It's very tough to build a team using those two skills, so just avoid them, and it's gonna make your life much easier. The same thing goes with Cycle of Magic. It's very clear that you don't want to have this skill on champions such as man-eater, who use their unkillable skills at specific times to get the unkillable rotation set so they can go for 50 turns. If at a 5% chance he gets the unkillable skill again, or it's reduced by 1 turn cooldown, then guess what? Your team will break and you won't be able to do the unkillable team right. It's gonna be finishing the run much earlier Sometimes it's gonna work because this doesn't happen, and you wonder why. Okay, on Monday it worked, on Tuesday it's not working anymore. Like cold brew, your team only works half the time. No, it's you did something wrong with the masteries. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. The same thing goes for other masteries along the bottom page of the support tree. I think this one gives you extra turn meter fill, so be careful with those. Same thing with timely intervention, but those aren't really built ever for a clan boss team, so it's usually going on offense and defense, right? The defense tree also has some masteries that you should be avoiding, such as this one, the cycle of revenge. Very, very careful when you take this mastery. This is only pretty much for PvP and not for PvE, because again, it can give you some turn meter. And there's other masteries as well that can be tricky in specific teams. Namely this one, you'll have to be careful with this one in teams where you need to have a champion stunned. Let's say the Rush Guard Skull Crusher combo, the Skull Crusher needs to get stunned. That is a very specific team, so that mastery usually breaks that team. I'm giving you an example. You can take this though in many other occasions. And the same thing happens with other masteries that can probably turn your build a little bit in terms of not happening what you want, because let's say you take the damage that the damage should have gone to the stun target instead. So selfless defenders don't really recommend it. You instead go for retribution, which just gives you extra bit of damage. Also, retribution should not be taken on champions such as Painkeeper, because that gives her the chance to counterattack. The counterattack gives her turn meter. Turn meter breaks the rotation, and then you have a whole bunch of headaches onto you on why your team is breaking. So be very careful with masteries as well. The next big issue with many people out there is building the gear right on their champions and having a balance of stats for what they're looking for. So many times people will be struggling to get the speeds, especially on newer accounts, to get an Unkillable team working. Namely, the budget Unkillable. The name of the budget Unkillable is not because it has you know, good champions in it, but it's because of the requirements in terms of gear. You just need to get the speeds right and you become Unkillable. It's the easiest team to build, or at least it was 2 years ago when it was featured over on YouTube by many YouTubers out there. And the budget Unkillable was one of the best teams to actually get you into Ultra Nightmare. That meant you had to get the speeds right, you had to get your Maneater and your Painkeeper right, and then the others could have gone with a little bit lower speeds and could still make it work. So make sure you get to those speeds first, and then you start to worry about other stats such as crit rate and crit damage. Once you have those speeds, then you can worry about anything else, because that enables you to become Unkillable. That means you're comfortable with the gear that you have available, and then you can start thinking, okay, I've got to the 243 speed that I want on Maneater. Can I get some more crit rate and still keep that? Then you try and move some pieces around. You even use the optimizer tool. That's going to help you a little bit, but do not use it from the start trying to get 100% crit, 235 crit damage, you know, 3000 attack from the start without knowing the potential of your gear. That's gonna basically stop you right there, and you're gonna be thinking, okay, it's not finding the gear. Is my gear that bad? Yeah, it might be that bad, or you might need to just keep on rolling some gear just to get those upgrades, or you need to worry about, you know, getting banners for speed, getting some glyphs. Glyphs always help to get you to those lower glyphs, especially the 1 and 2 stars, help you get to the speed tune, to the correct speed tune, and it makes building a team much easier. Another big thing about building an Unkillable team is also building your debuffers, because debuffers will be the ones providing the biggest damage boost to your team other than the stats that you give them. Okay, you need to have the crit rate and crit damage there to get some big numbers, but you also need to have accuracy, and accuracy is the most important stat starting out, and then you go to crit rate, and then you go to crit damage for champions that apply debuffs. So Dracomorb, as an example, is a champion that applies debuffs, lots of debuffs, and he definitely needs a lot of accuracy to start landing those. That is more important than, let's say, getting crit rate or crit damage. You need to first go for the accuracy and speed, and then worry about the remaining stats, and if you can get to those stats. If you cannot get to the speed and the accuracy, you're missing out on a lot of potential from Dracomorb because of the defense down weaken and the poisons that he can give. And some masteries also help him with that, and it really depends on the team that you're trying to build. So be very careful with the masteries the gear that you give to your champions. Have that in mind when you're building a team, or when you're looking to head to a direction of building a team. Namely, your great hole also is a good indication of where you should be heading. So if your team is heavy in magic and you're just starting out, then the accuracy tree for magic should be maxed out first, comparing that to anything else in the game. That will just enable you to apply the debuffs much easier, because you will not need so much gear focused on accuracy, namely the accuracy sets and perception sets, because those sets give you so much accuracy. You need them at the start, but later when you get some great hole bonuses, you don't need them so much. You can get cruel sets in there, you can get relentless if you can use relentless, and that is very, very specific, and if it works. And then finally, we'll go over the website, the Deadwood Jedi website, and how to use it. This is a very difficult website for starter players out there. If you're just getting into raid, you don't understand how teams work, really this website will just get you more confused than anything else. You should be using the preset teams already, instead of trying to make a team of your own. You only make teams of your own when you understand a lot about the game, and you should only be trying to get to different speeds with the champions you have only when you understand what is happening. So this is an example of my Unkillable team that I run right now, the Bad Eater team, one of the most basic ones. Again, like 2 years ago, this was initially released, and it was an amazing team because it enables you to beat all the different clan bosses and affinities and get the best key possible based on your gear. Okay, and how this team becomes unkillable is if you look at the final line right here, the man-eaters always apply a block debuff buff, and let me just type it like so, block and then block. So you really understand it. Where it says block, it's always them protecting the team from damage, and you need to have that in mind when you're building the teams. You need to ensure that the speeds are set right onto the left side of the screen, where you see like 265, 248, 244, 240, and 220 for all of the champions. Those speeds needs to be exact in some teams, and the Bad Eater team has to be in the exact range of speeds. So it's easier in that sense, because you can go let's say 267, and the team will still be working the same because it does have a nice range. But you need to be aware of the range and how it might affect the other difficulties. Let's say the Nightmare difficulty or the Brutal difficulty. You still need to be aware that, oh, this might be changing the way that the clan boss team interacts with each difficulty because of the lower speeds of the clan boss. So have that in mind when you're switching around speeds. You might see it working on Ultra Nightmare, but on Brutal or Nightmare, it might not work. So you need to understand of the ranges that you need to do. You also need, right here on the top, to just specify, am I using Lure of Steel? And am I using any speed sets or perception sets? You need to specify it in there in order for you to just better have a better understanding of, okay, do my speeds really affect my team? If not, does my gear affect my team? Does Lore of Steel affect my team? There's so many little things that you have to be, you have to understand that they affect your teams, that do not just go in there and put whatever, you know, speeds you think are gonna work and then expect it to work. You also need to specify if you've got the speed sets and perception sets, and all those small details are gonna be shown here. And you know, just having a couple of speeds less, let's say here, I'll show if I have a little bit of speed less on my Seeker, then suddenly the team is not working anymore, everything is breaking. If I go 1 speed up, 2 speed up, it starts to change a little bit. If I go back to the speeds that I was before, then the team actually will be fixed and will be functional again. So to summarize, you should be using this website only when you know that the team that you're building has to be correct, and you're trying to figure out, oh, what is that small detail that I'm missing? Why is it not working on turn 40? It suddenly starts breaking. The calculator will show you, but the calculator does not know if you used any of those masteries that I mentioned at the start of the video. So have that all in mind before you go ahead and comment on a YouTuber's video saying, your team is not working anymore. I tried it today and it's not working. No, make sure you follow these small rules, and those are going to help you build a better clan boss team. So this was the video, guys. I hope this helped you understand a little bit better on how to build your team. This is not a showcase of any specific team, because there's so many teams out there and they really depend on what champions you have available. Your champion roster, your pool of champions, will dictate on how you move around in building a clan boss team. It can be a non-unkillable team at the start, but later, once you unlock a few specific champions, or let's say even Helicath, who enabled so many easy teams, then you will be in a better position to just start building them slowly, farming better, and focusing on specific gear, let's say the speed gear or speed banners through the spider, and then using those to get your unkillable team, because that's honestly the best thing to do for newer mid-game accounts. Even late-game accounts, you need to have your clan boss team set so you maximize the rewards that you get every single day, especially for late game. Those void shards, you can even get them from hard difficulty clan boss, so definitely beat those if you can every day. Do like 4 keys, 4 different bosses, maximize the rewards. You'll get tons of stuff for free. All these sacred shards, as an example, are because I do clan boss every day. So these videos are just keep getting people interested in these clan boss videos, because again, we need to bring in attention on how good the clan boss is in terms of rewards. You get so much stuff for free. I mean, if you have the teams, and if you're still building the teams, you need to build them right. This was the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't for some reason already, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.